I'm sure we know someone or you've heard of someone who's a job serial hopper. He rarely stays in one job, and you ask yourself, what could be the problem? I do know of a case, and this particular individual has lost 8 jobs in the last 4 years. This was very strange because sometimes if you are the one being let go all the time, you start to ask yourself what could be the problem. So I got very curious and decided to investigate, try to understand what could be the reason. So I dug deep and thought that I should do something about why, if you're a serial job loser, what could be the root cause of such a recurring experience. And while looking at what is the reason, I was able to come up with 3 core reasons as to why you probably are losing your jobs, or you're losing your job so frequently. So these 3 areas or 3 core reasons as to why you're losing jobs are: 1 could be a performance or a competency gap. So one of the ways in which my buddy, or you listening to me today, will have lost your job is because you are not competent enough to deliver on that job. Another second thing is there's a fundamental mismatch between what your career path is and the environment at which you find yourself at that moment. So if it's a job that's not aligned to what you want, then you'll experience that. And then the third thing could be an underlying personal or health reasons or factors, in this case mental health. So in this episode, we are going to look at those 3 core areas and understand what they are, what you could do, and what could be the reason, as well as those 3 areas, and therefore advise you on what to do. So we are going to approach these 3 big issues and construct and deconstruct them, and then provide ways on how you can manage them. Let's start by looking at the ways in which you can manage these 3 areas. I'm going to approach it in 3 phases. 1 is the why, then we go to moving forward, okay, after you've established why, and lastly we'll talk about now that you've done this first 2, you're back to work, how then do you ensure success? So let's look at the why. What could be the reason as to why you as an individual, you are losing your job, changing companies very, very fast within a short period of time? Truth is, could be complex issue that I do not know, and the factors are very, very, very diverse. However, there is the one thing that we need to understand, and that is we need to go to the root cause. So because diagnosis, the phase 1 of what you're doing, let's diagnose why. So first thing is, within this diagnosis, is to look at the root cause. What is the root cause? Now, the biggest thing I can tell you today, that most of what I'm going to share at this phase is got nothing to do with intelligence, but mostly a practical application of the skills in a professional setting. So let's look at an example. One of the reasons probably why you have been struggling all those jobs is lack of focus and lack of detail orientation. Okay? And any manager, any supervisor will tell you this is their number 1 issue. What do I mean? Sometimes you miss to deliver on the expectations. Sometimes you don't report on time, or you don't even do what you asked. Okay? So there will be deadlines, you're going beyond deadlines, there are a lot of errors, you cannot follow instructions, and this could be a lack of focus, or could be something else, okay, that you are struggling with. And that is why the first thing you need to do here is to get a professional to talk, to understand exactly why you're always missing deadlines, there are a lot of errors in your work, and complex issues. So this could be a colleague, could be a counselor, could be a career coach, could be a normal life coach. Let them talk to you to understand what it is. Another reason could be ineffective onboarding or learning. The idea here is that you did not understand what the requirements are for your job. My advice here will be write a lot of notes when you start about how things work. Make a list of things that needs to be done, and ask as many questions as possible, because during onboarding you have a window to ask and look stupid, okay, before people get tired of you. So ask so many questions. I suggest you treat your job as a subject that needs to be studied. Imagine that this new job that I'm going to do is in a new professional environment, and I'm learning about what needs to be done. Another reason could be, the reason also there is a performance gap, could be you lied about your skills and competencies. The one thing I'm going to tell you to do today, never lie. of your skills. If you're asked something and you do not know how to do it, say you are likely to learn very fast at the moment you have limited knowledge on that area. Now, if you lie, you're likely to be given tasks matching your competencies. And if you do not deliver on that because you do not know and you don't want to look stupid asking, and sometimes, in fact, a lot of people in the office be like, I thought we hired him to do this job, why is he asking us? And that can be an issue. So the root cause is part of why. The other thing is probably there's a fundamental mismatch. Okay, in essence, it's like the fish in a wrong pond. Beyond how to do most jobs, the other thing that is very, very important at work is to know what and where. What are we supposed to deliver and who to do that for, and where do we take that? And a good example could be maybe as an individual, not very, very good at these white collar jobs, and you need to go to the blue collar jobs, because white collar by their nature they require a lot of collaboration, sometimes abstract issues, political navigation, okay, and collaborative demands. And if you are not good at this, which is okay, some people are just not good at doing this, then that is not your kind of job. So first thing is just know that maybe fundamentally you're not an office politics guy. You're someone who needs to be given some job that requires manual work and you do it alone. No one supervises you. They just come and see the end results. Mechanics is a good example. Electricians, plumbers, okay? Because these ones just are tasks that are clear. You need to fix this wire. This wire, no one will ever interrupt you. Probably someone will come to look at how good you've done the job, but that allows you not to be playing with problems. It's either you know how to do it. Another thing is that maybe you're a big picture guy in a detailed, specific. A big picture guy is someone who is very good at communicating. He's a big picture vision, strategy. But you're not a procedure guy, a policy, operations guy. And this is an issue, because if you're a big picture guy, you're someone who's socially liked, you want to interact with people, you want to talk with customers, you want to go out and sell, while you're being given something to run, like type in a data, look at how the system works. That can frustrate you. So another why is, what exactly is this job? Lastly is there's a social and cultural disconnect, because if as a staff working with people in the office, you know politics and to be seen is way, way important than work itself. What does it mean? The person who is always coalescing around the powers be in parties is fun to interact with. He knows how to talk, present himself in meetings, is basically a good performer. But you're the person who does not enjoy that, don't enjoy cracking jokes. You just come sit, do your thing and go home. So you might be seen as aloof, someone who is a recluse, and that can create an underlying problem to your colleagues and your supervisors where they feel like you do not belong. So that's another thing as part of the layers. Another issue could be a personal issue. Maybe you having mental health issues, you've not been sleeping well, you don't do exercise, your diet is bad, you're having some personal issue disturbing you, family challenges, work, life anxiety, that can also affect you. Here you just need to see a professional. I don't have ways to explain how to do this. The only thing I can tell you need to see the professional, probably a therapist or doctors, to handle that. So phase one of how to manage job issues with job losses is to do a diagnosis, understand why. Number two is, now that you've understood why all these issues, you've put them down, is the strategic plan for yourself now. What are you going to do so that you are able to avoid a repetition of this? First thing is, try really, really hard, extremely hard in your next year to be structured and to have a multi-faced approach that is required from the word go. So how are we going to do this? One, conduct a radical diagnosis of a job that you're applying for. Look at it in detail. Is it something that I can do? Right? This is not about looking at yourself and sabotaging yourself. I know it's good vibes to talk about how you must aim higher, bigger, dream big. In the real world, that does not really pan out very, very well. So collect data deeply, okay? And the first thing you need to do is, why are you losing 8 jobs? Write everything down. What could be the reason? Reason number 1, I was fired is because of this. 3, I was late for this. Job number 4, I didn't deliver my projects in time and I wasn't 4 times. What you're doing here, 5 could be you had a conflict with the manager. What you're doing here, you're closely looking at the reasons for firing so that you can avoid repeating them in your new job, okay? Number 2, within this phase of conducting a radical diagnosis, is assess your foundation. What do I mean here? Seriously evaluate your non-work life. Are you sleeping enough? Are you exercising regularly? Are you eating healthy? Okay? Because if you don't work, you don't take care of your body, your life outside, it can affect your job. Then the third thing that you're going to do in this phase is, as part of looking at the things that you can do moving forward, is identify your strengths and your weaknesses. Forget job titles that you've held in the past. Cut that out. List what you genuinely are good at. Are you good at talking to people one-on-one? Are you good at solving specific problems? Are you very good at working with your hands? Okay? Because if you don't do this, you won't know what is the right job for you. Then look at your weaknesses. I struggle meeting deadlines. I can't juggle 2 or 3 tasks. I hate data entry. Okay? So look at all those things. Then avoid jobs around the things that you hate. Then once you've done that, now realign your career trajectory. Okay? One way in which you can do that is explore non-traditional fields. A good example I gave you there, if you did think white-collar jobs are not your forte, you're not good at them, try blue-collar jobs. You can become a technician, go to get a certification, take apprenticeship somewhere, and try these other jobs. Then, if another thing is, you can change the environment, maybe move back. If, let's say, for example, you're working far away, get jobs near your home where you are close to your family, the people you know, and environment you're familiar with. That also helps realign your career. Okay? Then, and if you can afford, get a good coach, someone who can help, manage, specifically guide you through various challenges, help guide you to a clearer pipeline, someone you can confine and converse with, and for sure he will tell you the right thing. So that is very, very important. Okay, so once you've clearly mapped your way out, you've gotten your job, you're back, your 9th job is here. That's the last phase. So what to do? Okay, you're back to work, you've gotten your 9th job. So let's look at the ways to be successful on the job. Now, the only suitable path for you is what you've identified up in my previous conversation where I told you map out the things you're good at. Okay, so one thing to do that is then you'll avoid applying for jobs that are not the right one for you. Another thing I can tell you, avoid applying for jobs for the sake of applying. Pick something that you really know that you can deliver and focus on that fully. Use connections, network to people around there, and focus on that. Don't do something for the sake of doing. I do know currently the job market is crazy. Jobs are not there. Sometimes you just want something to do so that you avoid suffering, or you're looking for something to at least put something in your mouth or some coin in your pocket. That is, if it's a short-term strategy, I can tell you to exploit, but in terms of your peace of mind, a long-term strategy, while you're doing that, clearly focus on the job that you're good at and work everything you need to do. Then now, very, very crucial, the first 90 days. Because this forms your foundation. Once you are in this job, this forms the foundation of how people view you, on how you are going, on your mental health at work, on how you are going to deliver on the expectations and setting objectives, and of course supervisor support, how they're going to support you and all. So the first thing I want to do here is buy a notebook. Really write down everything, document every process. Okay, write it down. Step 1, step 2. I know you're going to tell me I can type on my phone. No, get a notebook, a hard notebook, and write it down. Let your brain visualize that as you write it down. Okay, document everything. Write down every password that you use at work safely at your start, and every key contact. Okay, number 2, ask as many questions till you understand. Remember, your first 90 days, there is a window where you can ask anything, including quote-unquote stupid questions. Okay. Then number 3, identify all potential resources that can help you, especially on official duties and official policies within the organization, and find a way to make them your buddy so that they can come in and help support you. Then once so number 1 in re-entry is you network, you apply. Don't apply for anything job. Once you've gotten in your first 90 days of that. So what do you do after your 90 days is, now I want you to reframe your narrative. This is the most crucial part for long-term resilience here. You must internalize that now you are employable and you are definitely very good at your job. Okay, so you don't have to look at the 8 jobs in the past and the suffering and say, okay, well, even this one, I won't survive here. Okay, that is a sign that you are going to fail again. So reorient yourself, reframe your mindset, pause and reassess, and look at now how can I sustain this new role. So I'm sure the situation that if you find yourself in this situation is probably daunting, but I want you to remember that it's not a life sentence of unemployability. Now, the pattern of termination is clear, sometimes albeit painful, signal that the current strategy is not working. Accept. The problem is not simple, like example lack of effort, but could be a misalignment between your individual foundational qualities, health, innate skills, and the environment at which you've chosen to work. So by trying to break this cycle, conducting a fearless self-diagnosis, and strategically realigning your career path, perhaps towards a more tangible, less socially and complex work, then you can find a place where you can not only survive but thrive. Now, from this episode, and if you're listening to me, I hope you've learned something. Your journey to this new awesome job starts here today. You need to make a decision to stop looking at the last 8, analyze them, and go rebuild yourself. Well, the hard part is done now. I think your new job starts today. If there's any other, I think that is it for me. But if there's any other idea you have to help someone who is a frequent job hooper, someone who has lost a lot of jobs in a short period of time, that can help them, please share them on the comments. And also, I'm going to ask, if you are a new listener, go back and watch as many videos